Step into a realm where the allure of wealth is not just a distant dream but a tangible reality waiting to be harnessed. Welcome to How to Attract Money, an illuminating voyage that delves deep into the recesses of your own psyche to unlock the age-old secrets of financial prosperity. Envision a world where your thoughts wield the power to sculpt your economic destiny, where abundance is not merely an aspiration, but an inevitable outcome. Joseph Murphy, a luminary in the realm of mindset mastery and an advocate of positive thinking, will serve as your compass through a maze of limiting beliefs, guiding you towards the boundless reservoir of wealth that lies dormant within. Within these pages, you will confront and challenge long-held notions about money, paving the way for a newfound ability to draw wealth into your life with each word absorbed. From time-honored philosophical precepts to practical exercises in visualization, this audiobook transcends the mere accumulation of riches, offering instead a profound comprehension of your innate capacity to manifest abundance in all its manifestations. Prepare to tap into the dormant potential of your mind and embark on a journey of financial metamorphosis, transcending scarcity to embrace abundance, doubt to certainty, and worry to liberation. Are you prepared to assert your inherent entitlement to prosperity? Then journey with us and unlock the secrets of attracting wealth, with Joseph Murphy as your trusted guide. Prologue. We all live this journey called life. For some, it's nothing more than an endless torture that hurts them day after day. Others don't even know why they're alive and see no point in being in this beautiful world because they don't know why they're here or where to go. But for a few privileged ones, life is joyful, fun, and sweet. Know that you too can enjoy the sweetness of life. You can revel in it and enjoy it. But before you do, you will have to confront and change what keeps you out of harmony and away from your life goals. Your mind. The purpose of this book, inspired by the writings of Joseph Murphy, is to open you up to the possibilities of a better life as you've always wished for. This book will help you understand that we all have the right to experience a good, complete, rich and prosperous life, as you too can discover the path to wealth without giving up your right to be rich. Introduction. Wanting money is a fundamental right of every human being. Who wouldn't want to lead a dignified life, that life that is only possible by experiencing with money in our pockets? Know that you have the right to be rich. You are here on earth to lead an abundant life, to be happy, radiant, and free. But before you can achieve this wealth and abundance and enjoy the good things in life, you will not only have to overcome external obstacles, but also look within yourself and confront your inner being. The purpose of this small volume is to show you that you are here to grow, expand, and develop spiritually, mentally, and materially, as you too can surround yourself with beauty and luxury. Your right to be rich is your right to be rich. You are here to lead an abundant, radiant, and free life. It is your innate right to grow and fully manifest in everything you want. You and I have the power, the opportunity, and the necessity to surround ourselves with beauty, luxury, and good people. Why settle for what barely allows you to survive when you can enjoy the best of the world and the universe? In this book, you will learn to become friends with money and stop being its adversary. Your desire to be rich is the desire for a more complete, happier, and wonderful life. There is nothing wrong with wanting a better life, as it is a cosmic impulse and it is good, very good. Start seeing money in its true meaning, as a symbol of exchange, a symbol of freedom, desire, luxury, abundance, and refinement. As you read this chapter, you are probably saying to yourself, I want more money. I deserve a better salary than what I receive. And you are absolutely right. I sincerely believe that most people are underpaid. But one of the reasons why many people don't have more money is that they silently or openly condemn it. They talk about money as if it were an impure gain, or say that the love of money is the root of all evil, etc. Another reason why many do not prosper is that they have a subtle and unconscious feeling that there is some virtue in poverty. This subconscious pattern may be due to the education we receive from childhood, tradition, or even a misinterpretation of scriptures. There is no virtue in poverty. for it is a mental illness like any other mental illness. If you had a physical discomfort, you would think that something is wrong with your body. You would immediately seek help or do something to relieve your discomfort. Similarly, if you don't have money flowing constantly into your life, there is something fundamentally wrong with you. Money is just a symbol that has taken many forms as a means of exchange over the centuries, such as salt, necklaces, and various trinkets. Long ago, a man's wealth was determined by the number of cattle or sheep he owned. It is much more convenient to write a check than to carry a few sheep with you to pay your bills, isn't it? God does not want you to live in a hut or suffer from hunger. God wants you to be happy, prosperous, and successful. God always succeeds in all his endeavors, whether creating a star or a cosmos. We all have desires, whether it's traveling the world, studying art in foreign countries, going to college, or sending our children to a good school. You would definitely want to raise your children in a charming environment so that they can learn to appreciate beauty, order, symmetry, and proportion. You were born to succeed, to win, to overcome all difficulties, and to have all your faculties fully developed. If you have financial difficulties in your life, do something about it. Immediately distance yourself from all superstitious beliefs about money. Never consider money as bad or dirty, or else you will drive abundance away from you. Remember that you lose what you condemn. Suppose you find a vein of precious metals in the ground. Would you say that this discovery is bad? God has pronounced all things good. Evil comes from man's dark understanding, from his unenlightened mind, from his false interpretation of life, and from his misuse of divine power. Uranium, lead, or any other metal could be used as a means of exchange, just as we use bills or checks. Of course, a piece of paper is not bad, nor is a check. Today's physicists and scientists know that the only difference between one metal and another is the number and speed of movement of the electrons spinning around their central nucleus. With current advances, they can even change or combine metals using a particle accelerator called a cyclotron. Gold, under certain conditions, turns into mercury. It won't be long before gold, silver, and other metals are synthesized in a laboratory. I can't imagine there's anything sinister about electrons, neutrons, protons, and isotopes. The piece of paper you have in your pocket is made up of electrons and protons organized differently. That's the only difference between the paper and the money in your pocket. Some people will say, "Oh, but people kill for money, steal for money." They may have a point, as money has been associated with countless crimes, but that doesn't make it bad if a man pays another to. It kills someone, then he has misused money because he's given it a destructive purpose. You can use electricity to execute a prisoner or to light a home. You can use water to quench a baby's thirst or to drown them. You can use fire to warm a child in winter or to burn them. It all depends on the use and purpose we give them. It's not up to nature to bless or hurt us. A man once told me, "I am poor because I don't like money, which is the root of all evil." You are here to use your power or authority wisely. Some desire power, others desire money. If you put your heart exclusively into money and say, "That's all I want. I'm going to devote all my attention to accumulating money. Nothing else matters," you may earn money and become wealthy. But such a mindset will make you twisted and selfish. Remember, we are here to lead a good and balanced life. Man does not live by bread alone. For example, if you belong to a cult or religion and become so fanatical that you distance yourself from those who don't share your ideals, from your good friends, from good company, and from social activities, you will become unbalanced and frustrated. Nature insists on balance. If all your time is devoted to external things and possessions, you will eventually find yourself starving for mental peace, harmony, love, joy, or health. Maybe not now, but the time will come when you will want to buy what is important, but you won't be able to. You can accumulate a fortune and have millions of dollars, and it won't make you wicked or perverse. However, loving money above all will fill you with frustration and disillusionment, and therein lies its wickedness. Making money your sole goal is simply a mistaken decision. You may think that's all you want, but over time, you'll realize that money wasn't all you needed. It's more likely that what you truly desire is purpose, inner peace, and abundance. You could be a millionaire and still have inner peace, harmony, and enjoy perfect health and divine expression. Everyone should desire to have enough money, and not just enough to survive. In God's eyes, whoever desires abundance and prosperity should have them. After all, the desire and ambition we have for food, clothing, shelter, transportation, quality of life, and abundance are all given by God. They are good and divine impulses, but misguided desires could be the cause of negative feelings and experiences in our lives. Human beings don't have a bad nature. There's no wickedness in you. It's just life circumstances seeking to express themselves through you. For example, a young person wants to go to college but doesn't have enough money. As they see other young people from the neighborhood going to college, their desire increases. They say to themselves, "I want an education too." This young person might decide to steal and embezzle money in order to go to college. And these criminal acts would have been motivated by a fundamentally good desire, the desire to have a good education. The flaw lies in the fact that this young person misdirected their desire for improvement and broke society's laws. Therefore, instead of finding a solution, they would only find problems. However, if this young person knew the laws of the mind and their ability to use spiritual power to attract what they want, they would be free to attend the college of their choice instead of being punished and imprisoned. Who put them in prison? They did it to themselves. The police officer who put them in prison is just an instrument of human-made laws. The young person first locked themselves mentally by stealing and hurting others. Fear and guilt followed. That's the prison of the mind, followed by the prison walls made of bricks and stones. Money should be a symbol of opulence, beauty, and God's abundance. Therefore, it must be used with caution and discernment. Money should be used to bless humanity in many ways, as it is a symbol of the economic health of nations. When wealth flows freely into your life, you are economically healthy. When people start accumulating money just to keep it in safes for fear of losing it, sooner or later, they will face economic diseases. The collapse of 1929 was a psychological panic. It was fear taking hold of people's minds everywhere. It was a kind of negative and hypnotic enchantment. You live in a subjective and objective world. Don't neglect spiritual food, such as inner peace, love, beauty, harmony, joy, and laughter. Knowledge of spiritual power is the means that leads to the royal path of all kinds of wealth, whether your desire is spiritual, mental, or material. The student of the laws of the mind or the disciple of the spiritual principle knows and understands that, regardless of the economic situation, fluctuations in the stock market, depression, strikes, war, or other conditions, they will never lack anything, and they will always be blessed with riches no matter in what form money may come. The reason is that they always remain convinced that they are worthy of the earth's riches. They have convinced themselves that wealth always flows freely into their lives and that they will always be blessed by divine providence. If a war broke out tomorrow and all the students' current possessions became worthless, as happened in Germany after World War I, they would still attract wealth and be endowed with what is good, no matter what form the new currency takes. Wealth is a state of consciousness. It is a mind conditioned to the divine source that always flows. The scientific thinker sees money or wealth as the tide. In other words, it goes out, but the tide always comes back. It never fails, just like the supply of one who trusts in the tireless, unalterable, and immortal presence that is omnipresent and continuously flows. The person who understands the workings of the subconscious mind will never be concerned about their economic situation, stock market panics, currency devaluation, or inflation, because they remain in the awareness of God's eternal supply. Such a person is always provided for and watched over by a divine presence. Consider the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much better than they? By consciously communicating with the divine presence, affirm and know that it will guide you in all your ways like a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. You will be divinely blessed and supported beyond your wildest dreams. Here is a simple way for you to impress upon your subconscious mind the idea of constant wealth supply. Calm the wheels of your mind, relax, release tensions, and immobilize your attention. Enter into a drowsy, meditative mental state, thereby reducing effort to a minimum. Then, calmly, relaxed, and passively, reflect on the following simple truths. Ask yourself, where do ideas come from? Where does wealth come from? Where do you come from? Where does your brain and consciousness come from? You will then be directed to the one source, thereby establishing an intimate connection with your spiritual side. Then, it will no longer be doubtful for you to understand that wealth is a state of mind. Memorize this little phrase and repeat it for 5 minutes 2 to 3 times a day, especially before going to bed. Money flows freely into my life, and I will always be blessed with divine surplus. By doing this regularly and systematically, the idea of abundance and prosperity will materialize in your deepest mind, developing a consciousness conditioned to a state of wealth. Mechanical repetition will not succeed in building wealth consciousness. You must feel the truth of what you affirm, know what you are doing, and why you are doing it. Only in this way will your deepest being respond to what you consciously accept as true. It should be noted that for a person facing financial problems, it would not be helpful to simply repeat phrases like, "I am rich, I am prosperous, I succeed." These statements could even worsen their feelings of lack, especially in times of economic depression, because in these moments of vulnerability, their objective mind could take on the role of another unbeliever. The feeling of lack would dominate, and each affirmation would evoke the awakening of a sense of lack, thus exacerbating the shortage of resources. The way we can overcome this is when we align our conscious mind with the subconscious. Then there will be no contradiction, and we will succeed in getting our subconscious mind to accept our beliefs, feelings, convictions, and what we consciously feel as true. A person could gain the cooperation of their subconscious mind by saying prosperous things every day. I am growing in wealth and wisdom every day. Every day my wealth multiplies. I am advancing, progressing, and growing financially. These statements and others like them would create no conflict in the mind. For example, if a salesperson has only 10 cents in their pocket, they can convince themselves that they will have more tomorrow if they sell a pair of shoes. Nothing in them says that their sales couldn't increase. They could use statements like, "My sales increase every day, I am improving and progressing." In this way, they would find that these affirmations are healthy and psychologically acceptable to their mind and would produce desirable results. The spiritually advanced student who calmly and intentionally convinces themselves by saying, "I am prosperous, I succeed, I am rich," can also achieve wonderful results. Why? Because they feel what they say, and when they exclaim, "I am prosperous," they do so knowing that God will provide them with His infinite riches, and what is true of God is true of us. When the student says, "I am rich," they know that God is their infinite and inexhaustible source, and that God is within them. Many men achieve wonderful results by focusing on 3 abstract ideas, such as health, wealth, and success. Health is a divine reality or a quality of God. Wealth is from God, who is eternal and endless. Success is from God because God always succeeds in all His endeavors. To achieve remarkable results in your goals, stand in front of a mirror and repeat for 5 to 10 minutes, health, wealth, and success. Do this when you are calm and relaxed, as this is when the mind is most receptive. Accompany these words with certainty, conviction, and faith, and amazing results will follow. All you are doing is identifying with truths that are eternal and immutable. You can develop a consciousness of wealth as soon as you put into practice the principles described and elaborated in this book. Your desert will rejoice and bloom like the rose. Many years ago, I met a young man from Australia who wanted to become a doctor but had no money, and he hadn't finished high school either. To support himself, he cleaned medical offices, washed windows, and did various repairs. This young man told me that before falling asleep every night, he visualized himself with a diploma hanging on the wall, with his name in big bright letters. As he cleaned and polished diplomas in the medical building where he worked, it was easy for him to imprint the image of the diploma in his mind and develop it there. I don't know how long he visualized himself achieving his goal, but it must have been for many months. One of the doctors greatly appreciated this young man, and after training him in the art of sterilizing instruments, administering hypodermic injections, and other first aid techniques, accepted him as a technical assistant in his office. Furthermore, the doctor sent him to high school, then to university, paying all the young man's expenses. This boy became a prominent doctor in Montreal, Canada, and it all started with a dream, a clear image in his mind. His wealth was in his mind. This young man unconsciously put into practice a great law, and as the saying goes, having seen the end, he put the means for the realization of what he saw at the end. In this boy's case, it was to become a doctor. He imagined himself, saw himself, and felt himself in the reality of being a doctor now. And when you live with an idea, nurture it and love it, the time will come when, through imagination, it will pierce through the layers of the subconscious and transform that idea into a conviction. What you must do after meditating on the end and after accepting the desire in consciousness is simple. The power within you will compel you to do what is necessary for the development of your ideal. The law of the subconscious is compulsion. The law of life is action and reaction. What we do is the automatic response to our internal movements of the mind, the internal feeling, and conviction. For a few months before falling asleep, I imagined myself reading one of my most popular books, The Magic of Faith in French. I imagined that this book was going to all French-speaking countries. For several weeks I did this every night, falling asleep with the imaginary French edition of the book in my hands. Just before Christmas 1954, I received a letter from a major publisher in Paris, France, containing a contract asking me to sign it and give permission to publish and promote the translation of The Magic of Faith in all French-speaking countries. What did I do to achieve my wish? Nothing. Subjective wisdom took control of materializing what I ardently desired. All our movements and actions in the external world follow the internal movements of the mind. Internal action precedes any external action. Whatever course you take physically, even if it seems to happen spontaneously, will all be part of a pattern that must be fulfilled, a pattern already established by your subconscious. Accepting the end attracts the means for the realization of that end. Believe that you have it now, and you will receive it. We must stop denying what rightfully belongs to us. Realize that the only thing keeping us from the riches that are in this world is our mental attitude, just as the way we perceive God, life, and the world in general. Know, believe, and act on the positive assumption that there is no reason why you cannot have, be, and do what you desire to accomplish through the great laws of God. Thoughts and feelings are your destiny. You possess everything by right of consciousness. The consciousness of health produces health. The consciousness of wealth produces wealth. If you tell a friend that you are soon going to start a new business, they might give you all the reasons why you will fail. If you are susceptible to their hypnotic spell, this conversation will sow the seed of failure in your mind. But take control and the consciousness of this unique and indivisible spiritual power that responds to your thought. You will reject the darkness and ignorance of the world because you know that you possess everything you need, the equipment, the power, and the knowledge to succeed, to tread the path that leads to wealth. You must not pose obstacles or hinder the passage of others, nor should you feel jealousy towards others. In reality, when you nurture these negative mental states, you punish yourself and harm yourself because you think and feel them. As Kimby says, what you give to another, you give to yourself. I'm sure you've heard some people say, that guy seems to be involved in dishonest things. He seems like a mobster. I knew him when he had nothing. He must be a thief or a scammer. If you analyze the person speaking about another, they usually suffer from a financial, physical, or mental need. Perhaps their former college friends have climbed the ladder of success and surpassed them. Now they are bitter and envious of their progress. In many cases, this way of thinking is the cause of misery for those who think this way. Thinking negatively about others and condemning their progress drives wealth and prosperity away from us. We cannot condemn the things for which we pray. If you do, you will pray in two ways. On one hand, you will say, God help me prosper. And at the same time, you will exclaim, I am disturbed by the wealth of such person. Wish the best for others and rejoice in their prosperity and success, for when you do, you bless yourself and rise. If you walk into a bank and see a colleague depositing 20 times more than you, rejoice in seeing God's abundance manifesting through one of His children. In this way, your ties with this organization expand. You set a law in motion and action, and you attract failure if you do not change your attitude. With this mentality, it is more likely that you will be fired rather than getting a raise. And if you are fired, you have caused it yourself. The manager was only an instrument through which your own negative mental state was confirmed. In other words, he was only the messenger who conveyed to you what you had already conceived as true about yourself. This is a perfect example of the law of action and reaction. The action was the internal movement of your mind. The reaction was the response of the external world to adjust to your internal thought. Perhaps as you read this, you think of someone who has prospered economically by taking advantage of others, by cheating and lying, etc. The answer to this is obvious. When we steal, cheat, or deceive others, we do the same with ourselves first. When we are in a bad mental state, we are destined to attract negative things. These states can come in many ways, such as loss of health, prestige, peace, social status, illnesses at home or in business. It may not necessarily come in the form of a loss of money, so do not be short-sighted in thinking that poverty is only counted in coins. It is. Not a wonderful feeling to lay your head on the pillow at night and feel that all is at peace, that the heart is filled with goodwill towards all. There are many people who have accumulated their money improperly by trampling others with deceit, lies, and falsehoods. But at what price? Many of them then pay their punishment in the form of illness, whether mental or physical, and the luckier ones will face guilt complexes, insomnia, or hidden fears. You can become rich and prosperous without having to hurt anyone. Many people spend their time constantly stealing and robbing themselves of mental peace, health, joy, inspiration, happiness, and God's grace. They may say they have never stolen, but the truth always eventually comes out. Whenever we are envious or jealous of someone else's success, we rob ourselves. These are the thieves that Jesus drove out of the temple. In the same way, you must expel them sharply and decisively from within you. Do not let the roots of jealousy live in your mind, and only let in good thoughts and feelings. I remember reading once about a woman from Brooklyn, New York, who went from store to store buying all the coffee she could. She knew a shortage was looming and feared not having enough for herself, so she bought all she could and stored it in her cellar. That night, while attending church services, burglars entered her home and stole all the coffee, as well as other precious items like money and jewelry. When she learned of this good woman exclaimed, as many would say, "Why did this happen to me when I go to church? I never stole from anyone." While it is true that she did not directly steal from anyone, she committed a selfish act, an excessive accumulation of coffee provisions. This action thus attracted the reaction that led to the loss of her belongings. She did not need to lay hands on the cash register or rob a bank. Her fear of lack caused her lack. That's why so many good people suffer losses. They may be good on the earthly plane, meaning they pay their taxes, obey the laws, vote regularly, and are generous to some charitable organizations. But on the other hand, they feel resentment or jealousy towards the success, wealth, or social status of others. These are the ones who, without hesitation, would take money from others when no one is looking. This behavior is undoubtedly a state of lack, and therefore, when someone harbors such feelings, they attract them into their life. Before the external thief robs us, we rob ourselves first. There must be an internal thief before the external appears. There will always be people like that. They are honest in one aspect of their life, but hide a dark part that few know about. But no matter how much they hide this dark part, the mind always reveals what is hidden inside so that the outside can see it. The truth always prevails. The great law is to wish for others what you wish for yourself. Say from the depths of your heart, "I wish for every person walking on earth what I wish for myself. The sincere desire of my heart is therefore peace, love, joy, abundance, and blessings of God for all and everywhere." Rejoice and never deprive another of their joy. If you do, you deprive yourself. If someone is promoted in your organization, be happy for that person. Congratulate them on their advancement and recognition. On the other hand, if you feel anger or resentment, you degrade yourself. Do not withhold what belongs to another by birthright, for it is given by God in the form of happiness, success, fulfillment, abundance, and other good things. Jesus said, "Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. For hate and resentment only corrupt and gnaw at the heart, filling us with scars, impurities, toxins, and poisons. The treasures of heaven are the truths of God that we possess in our souls." Fill your mind with peace, harmony, faith, joy, honesty, integrity, kindness, love, and kindness. Then you will sow treasures for yourself in the heavens of your own mind. If you seek wisdom on how to manage your assets, gently affirm, "Infinite intelligence governs and oversees all my financial transactions, and everything I do will prosper." Do this often, and you will find that your investments will be wise. Moreover, you will be protected against losses, because you will know when to sell your securities or stocks before incurring losses. Let the following prayer be used daily by you concerning your home, your business, and your possessions. The presence that guides the planets in their course and makes the sun shine is the same that watches over all my possessions, my home, my business, and everything that belongs to me. God is my strength and my safe. All my possessions are safe in God. It is wonderful to remember this great truth daily and to observe the laws of love. You will always be guided, taken care of, and prosper in all your ways. You will never suffer losses because you have chosen the Almighty as your counselor and guide. The love of God will surround you, envelop you, and encompass you at all times. Rest in the eternal arms of God. We must all seek an internal guide for our problems. If you have a financial problem, repeat this before retiring for the night. "I will now sleep in peace. I have entrusted this matter to the inner wisdom of God, who knows the answer. And when the sun rises tomorrow, my answer will rise, for I know that dawn never fails." Do not worry, do not torment yourself about a problem, and let the night advise you, because your intellect cannot solve all your problems. Pray for the light that must come. Remember that dawn always comes. Then shadows flee. Let your sleep purify your mind every night. You are not a victim of circumstances unless you believe you are. You can rise above and overcome any situation or condition. When different experiences arise to test your mind, you must be firm and faithful to your deepest goal and desire. In department stores, security guards are hired to prevent people from stealing and catch thieves every day. These people who try to get something for nothing all live in the consciousness of lack and limitation, depriving themselves while attracting all sorts of trouble. These people lack faith in God and understanding of how their minds work. If they prayed for a better situation, for divine expression and provision, they would find work. If these people chose to be honest and persevering, they would quickly gain a positive place in society. Whether the Queen of England or a child from a poor neighborhood, we are all born with certain limitations, and it is through these limitations that we grow. We could hardly discover our inner power if we did not confront problems and difficulties, for these states of poverty are the ones that urge us to seek solutions. We could not know what true joy is without first experiencing pain. We must be aware of poverty to seek liberation and rise to God's opulence. Mental states that reflect poverty, such as fear, ignorance, worry, lack, and pain, are not bad when they prompt us to seek the opposite. When you encounter problems and stumble, ask yourself why all these things are happening to you, and use these feelings to your advantage to allow light to enter your mind. Through suffering, pain, or misfortune, you will discover the truth that will set you free. For sweet are the uses of adversity, like the tough bark that surrounds the nut. Through dissatisfaction, we are led to satisfaction. Even he who studies the laws of life was dissatisfied with something, had a problem or difficulty that he could not solve. Or perhaps he was dissatisfied with the answers given by man to life's mysteries. But if he found his answer in the presence of God within himself, the pearl of great price, the precious jewel, then he found the Lord and was delivered from all his fears. When an ambition or desire is satisfied, it will be satisfied for a short period of time. Then the need to expand will return. Life is seeking to express itself at higher levels through you. When one desire is satisfied, another comes because you are here to grow. Life is advancement, not regression. Always forward, never backward. You are here to go from glory to glory. There is no end because the glory of God has no end. We are all poor in the sense that we are always seeking more light, wisdom, happiness, and joy in life. God is infinite, and never in eternity could you exhaust the glory, beauty, and wisdom that are within you. That is why you are wonderful in the absolute state. All things are finished, but in the relative world, we must awaken that glory that was ours before the world was. The journey is always forward, upward toward God. It is truly a process of awakening whereby you realize that creation is finished. When you know that God has nothing to learn, to grow, to expand, or to develop, you begin to gradually awaken from the dream of limitation and live in God. When the scales of fear, ignorance, racial belief, and mass hypnosis fall from your eyes, you begin to see what God sees. Blind spots are eliminated, and then you begin to see the world as God sees it. The kingdom of heaven is near. Feed the poor in you with these naked ideas and give them shape by believing in the reality of the idea and trusting the great maker within you to shape and justify them. Then your word, your idea will become flesh, take form. And when you hunger, you will seek food. When you are troubled, you will seek peace. When you fall ill, seek health. When you feel weak, seek strength. Your desire for prosperity is the voice of God within you, telling you that abundance is yours. Thus, through these states of lack, you will find the need to grow, to develop, and to realize your desires. A pain in your shoulder is a disguised blessing, telling you to do something about it immediately. Without pain or signs of trouble, your arm could fall off in the street. Your pain is God's alarm system, telling you to seek your peace and healing power, and to move from darkness to light. When it is cold, light a fire. When you are hungry, eat. When you lack, enter the mindset of opulence and abundance. Imagine the end. Rejoice in it. Having imagined it and felt it as true, you will have attracted the means for the realization of the end. When you are afraid and worried, nourish your spirit with the great truths of God that have stood the test of time and will last forever. You can find comfort by meditating on the great Psalms. For example, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." In union with God, you are a majority. If God is for me, who can be against me? Let the healing vibrations of these truths flood your mind and heart, thus eliminating from your mind all fear, doubt, and worry. Through this meditative process, embrace this other great spiritual truth. A joyful heart makes a cheerful face. A happy heart has a continual feast. A merry heart is better than medicine. Use the gift of God within you. Start now to use this gift of God and completely drive out the tyranny and despotism from your mind. Fully accept the spiritual power within you as the sole cause, the only power, and the only presence. This power is receptive and benevolent. Approach it with devotion, security, trust, and love, and it will respond to you with love, peace, guidance, and prosperity. It will be your comforter, guide, counselor, and Heavenly Father. When you say, "I walk in the awareness of God's presence all day long," your fullness flows through you at all times, filling all the empty vessels of your life. When you are filled with the feeling of being what you desire to be, your prayer is answered. All vessels are full in your life. Look at your health, your wealth, your love, and your expression. You are completely satisfied in every way. Whatever you seek, whatever it may be, falls under one of these categories. If you say, "All I want is truth or wisdom," you express the desire of all men everywhere. That is what everyone wants, though they express it differently. Truth or wisdom is everyone's general desire. It falls under the classification of expression through your lack, limitation, and problems. You grow in God's light and discover yourself. There is no other way by which you can discover yourself. If you could not use your powers in two ways, You would never discover yourself nor know the law that governs you. If you were compelled to be good or to love, it would not be love. You would be an automaton. You must be free to love. If you are compelled to love, there is no love. You do not feel flattered when someone tells you they love you and want you. They have chosen you out of all the men in the world. They do not have to love you. If they were compelled to love you, they would not feel flattered or happy. You have the freedom to be a murderer or a saint. That is why we praise men like Lincoln for choosing good and praise them for their choice. If we believe that circumstances, conditions, events, age, religious education, race, ethnicity, or early environment can prevent the possibility of a happy and prosperous life, we are thieves of ourselves. All it takes to express happiness and prosperity is to feel good and prosperous. The feeling of wealth produces wealth, for states of consciousness manifest. Feeling is the law, and the law is feeling. Your desire for prosperity is real. It is God's promise saying that His riches are yours too. Accept this promise without mental reservation. Kimby likened prayer to a lawyer pleading a case before a judge. This master of the laws of the mind said he could prove that the accused was not guilty of the charges, but was a victim of lies and false beliefs. You are the judge. You pronounce your own verdict. Then you will be free. Negative thoughts of lack, poverty, and failure are all false. They are all lies. Nothing supports them. If you already know that there is only one spiritual power, a prime cause, then stop empowering conditions, circumstances, and other people's opinions. Give all control to the spiritual power within you, knowing that it will respond to your thought of abundance and prosperity. Acknowledge the supremacy of the spirit within you and the power of your own thought and imagination. This is the path from opulence to freedom and constant supply. Accept abundant life within your own mind. Your mental acceptance and expectation of wealth have their own mathematics and mechanisms of expression. By entering the mindset of opulence, all things necessary for an abundant life will now occur. You are the judge coming to a decision in the court of your mind. Like Kimby, you have incontrovertible evidence showing how laws operate from your mind, and now you are freed from fear. You have eliminated all fear and superstition from your mind. As to fear, use it as a signal for action and move toward the opposite of that feeling, which is faith in God and all positive values. Let this prayer be your daily one. God is the source of my supply. These supplies are mine now. My riches flow to me freely, abundantly, and copiously. I am always aware of my true worth. I give my talents freely, and I am wonderfully compensated. Divine thanks, Father. Feeling is the law, and the law is feeling, the path to wealth. Wealth is of the mind. What do I mean by that? Suppose for a moment that a doctor's diploma was stolen along with his office equipment. Do you believe he won't be able to practice his profession anymore? I'm sure we would agree that his wealth lies in his mind and not in the diploma. He could still practice, diagnose, prescribe, operate, and give lectures on medical matters. Only his symbols have been stolen. He could always obtain other tools and supplies. His wealth is in his mental capacity, his knowledge to help others, and his ability to contribute to humanity. He will always be rich when his intense desire is to help humanity, his drive for service, that is, to share his talents with the world. He will always find an answer in the heart of the universe. I knew a man in New York during the financial crisis of 1929. He lost everything, including his home and lifelong savings. I met him after a lecture he had given in one of the city's hotels. Here's what he told me. I lost everything. I made $1 million in 4 years, but I will do it again. Everything I lost is material, a symbol of my wealth. I can attract the symbol of wealth again in the same way that honey attracts flies. I followed this man's career for several years to discover the key to his success. The key may seem strange to you. It is an old, very ancient one, and the Old Testaments refer to it. He turns water into wine. This is a Bible verse that inspired this man to desire and obtain perfect health, happiness, mental peace, and prosperity. Wine in the Bible signifies the fulfillment of desires, impulses, plans, dreams, proposals, etc. In other words, These are the things you wish to achieve, obtain, and produce. Water in the Bible generally refers to your mind or consciousness. Water takes the form of whatever vessel it is poured into. Similarly, whatever you feel and believe as true will manifest in your world. Thus, you are always turning water into wine. The Bible was written by enlightened minds where practical and daily psychology is taught, as well as a way of life. One of the cardinal principles of the Bible is that you determine, shape, and configure your own destiny through your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. The Bible teaches you that you can solve any problem and overcome any situation because you were born to triumph, succeed, and persevere. But to discover the true path to wealth and receive the strength and security needed to progress in life, you must stop seeing the Bible in a traditional way. The man we previously discussed, the one in financial crisis, would say to himself whenever he had no money, "I can turn water into wine." These words meant to him that he could exchange poverty in his mind for the realization of his current desires and needs, which were wealth and financial provision. His mental attitude was consistent. "I've already made a fortune honestly and I'll do it again." His usual declaration was, "I've already attracted the symbol of money and I attract it again. I know it and I feel it's true." This man quickly progressed in his career, going from a salesman to the president of a pharmaceutical company in just 4 years. His mental attitude was consistent. "I can turn water into wine." Examine John's story of how to figuratively turn water into wine and tell yourself the following: "I can make visible the invisible ideas, impulses, dreams, and desires within me, for I have discovered a simple and universal law of the mind." The law he demonstrated is the law of action and reaction. This means that your external world, your body, circumstances, environment, and financial situation are always a perfect reflection of your internal thought, beliefs, feelings, and convictions. Know and understand that you too can change the internal pattern of your thought by insisting on the idea of success, wealth, and tranquility. As you fill your mind with these concepts, these ideas will gradually seep into your mentality, like seeds planted in the soil. And as thoughts and ideas grow according to their kind, your habitual thoughts and feelings will manifest in prosperity, success, and mental peace. Wise thought is followed by right action, and you can acquire wealth as soon as you realize the power you have within you, the one that becomes one with you when you meditate on your desires. Now I'll tell you about a case from my archives. It's the story of how a young woman achieved her first miracle by turning water into wine. She ran a very beautiful hair salon, but her mother fell ill, and she had to dedicate a lot of time to her, neglecting her business. During her absence, 2 of her assistants mismanaged the funds, forcing her to declare bankruptcy. She lost her home and went deeply into debt. She couldn't pay her mother's hospital bills because of her debts and unemployment. I spoke to this woman and explained to her the magic formula of how to turn water into wine. We clarified that wine means an answer to prayer and the solidification of her ideal. For a long time, she blamed and struggled against the external world. She told me, "Look at the facts. I've lost everything. It's a cruel world. I can't even pay my bills. I don't pray because I've lost hope." She was so immersed and focused on the material world that she was completely unaware of the internal cause of her situation. As we talked, she began to understand that she first had to resolve the dispute in her mind and then solve the external problems. Regardless of your desire or ideal, in reading this book, you will always find a thought or idea in your mind that opposes your vision. For example, when your desire is to enjoy good health, you will always find thoughts opposing it like, "I can't be healed, I've tried, but nothing works. It's only getting worse." Analyze yourself. Are you suffering from internal conflicts in your mind? Don't be like the young businesswoman. Stop blaming the environment and external affairs for your problems. You define the desire for expression, wealth, and tranquility. Meditation and prayer are a mental marriage and teach us all how to resolve internal conflicts. In such acts, you write what you believe in your own mind. As Emerson said, "A person is what they think about all day." With their habitual thought, they create their own mental laws of belief. When they repeat certain lines of thought, they establish opinions and beliefs defined in their deepest mind, called the subconscious. These mental acceptances, beliefs, and opinions direct and control all their external actions. Understanding this and beginning to apply it is the first step to turning water into wine, or transforming lack and limitation into abundance and opulence. The person who is not aware of their own internal spiritual powers is subject to faulty beliefs and limitations imposed upon them. Open your mind and realize your first miracle, just as this young entrepreneur did. You too can do it if you don't simply read the Bible as a historical event, but if you lose the spiritual, mental, and scientific vision of the laws of the mind that concern us in this book. When you deeply focus on your problems, negative thoughts will always come to you, such as, "I have no hope, everything is lost, I can't do it, it's useless." This same voice is the food that nourishes feelings of lack, limitation, and despair. Only you can choose how to face challenges, circumstances, and conditions. As you become familiar with the laws of the mind, repeat the following. As I think and feel inside, so it is for my external world, meaning my body, my finances, my environment, my social position, and all phases of my external relationships with the world and humanity. Your internal mental movements and imagination govern, control, and direct the external plan of your life. The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The heart refers to the subconscious mind. In other words, your thought must reach subjective levels. When you use the power of your subconscious self, thought and feeling define your destiny, are your destiny, and thought charged with feeling will always manifest in your world. Any idea or desire of the mind that feels true will be realized, whether good, bad, or indifferent, because what you imagine and feel in your mind will be expressed, manifested, or experienced outwardly. Start disciplining your mind now. When the idea of lack, fear, doubt, or despair comes to mind, firmly reject it by focusing your attention solely on the realization of your desire. Don't think that your time has not yet come. Think that your time is about to come. Empower this thought and put feeling into it. What is God to you? God is the name given to the unique spiritual power. God is the only invisible source from which everything comes. When your thoughts are constructive and harmonious, your spiritual power responds to thought with harmony, health, and abundance. Practice the wonderful discipline of completely rejecting all negative thoughts and recognize the availability of the spiritual power that responds to your thoughts and imagination. As we read in the Bible, "My time has not yet come," this means that although you have not yet reached a positive conviction or mental state, you know that mentally you are on your way as you engage with the positive ideals you desire in your life. No matter where the mind resides, it multiplies, magnifies, and grows until finally the mind is conditioned by this new state of consciousness. Thus, you are conditioned positively, whereas before you were conditioned negatively. A spiritual person who asks and prays for their desires will move from a state of lack and despair to one of peace and calm. But before that, this person must place total faith and trust in their spiritual power, so that every impure feeling is overcome by a pure feeling. In this way, they will be able to find the solution or answer to their problems through prayer and meditation. In prayer, we must cleanse our minds of false beliefs, fears, doubts, and anxiety, and completely detach from the sensory evidence of the external world. Once you have achieved complete mental peace where you have stopped unnecessary thoughts, meditate on the joy of answered prayer until that inner certainty arrives, where you already know that you are one with your desire. Once you have achieved this mental union, the union of your feelings with your idea, you will feel that what you desire is already yours. If you desire good health, harmony, and success, begin by feeling in your mind that what you want is yours. Now, when you desire something, fill your mind with the feeling of possessing what you want. You must fill your mind to the brim, which means you must fill yourself with the feeling of being what you aspire to be, of possessing what you aspire to have. When you succeed in filling your mind with the ideal you wish to accomplish or express, you will be filled to the brim. You will know when this happens because you will feel the reality of your mind as the absolute reality. This is your only reality and you will be at peace with it. Everything we have imprinted on our subconscious will always be objectified on the screen of space. Therefore, when we enter a state of conviction where our prayer is answered, it is because we have sent the message to the subconscious. Here is my new future. You must always govern and supervise your mind, for day and night, thousands of thoughts, suggestions, opinions, images and sounds will reach your ears and eyes. It is your duty to reject such thoughts as unfit for mental consumption or to accept them according to your desire. Your conscious, rational, and intellectual mind is the one that governs your mind. When you consciously choose to accept, meditate on, celebrate, and imagine the desire of your heart as true, that desire will become a living embodiment and a part of your mentality, thus facilitating your deepest self to shape and express it. In other words, what is imprinted subjectively is expressed objectively. Empathy is a wedding feast, referring to when the mind marries with desire, thought and feeling, define your destiny, are your destiny, and thought charged with feeling will always manifest in your world. Love is truly an emotional attachment, a feeling of unity with your good. You must be faithful to what you love, faithful to your purpose and ideal. We are not faithful to what we love when we flirt or mentally desire other things that go against our ideal. Love is a state of unity, a state of realization. When the young woman mentioned above understood this simple teaching, she became mentally enriched and immediately made adjustments to her life. Since then, she has prayed knowing that the water of her mind would flow and fill all empty vessels in response to her new way of thinking and feeling. In the evening, she would calm her mind, relax her body, and begin quietly using constructive imagination. The steps she used were as follows. Firstly, she imagined the manager of the local bank congratulating her on her wonderful deposits at the bank. Secondly, she imagined hearing her mother say, "I am very happy for your new position." She imagined hearing her mother say this in a happy and joyful manner. Thirdly, she vividly imagined herself standing before me, the author, as the minister of her wedding ceremony. She imagined me saying the phrase, "Now I pronounce you husband and wife." By going through this routine, she fell asleep feeling fulfilled, meaning with the feeling of joy for the answered prayer. Nothing happened for 3 weeks. In fact, things worsened, but she persisted in refusing to accept defeat and negativity because she knew that to grow spiritually, she had to realize her first miracle by exchanging her fear for faith and her sense of lack for a state of opulence and prosperity. Thus she began shaping her consciousness, the conditions, circumstances, and experiences she wanted to express. Consciousness, understanding, feeling, principle, spirit, or whatever name you give it, is the cause of everything. It is the sole presence and power. The spiritual power or spirit within us is the cause and substance of all things. All things, birds, trees, stars, the sun, the moon, the earth, gold, silver, and platinum, are its manifestations. When the young woman understood this, she knew that she too could turn water into wine and transform lack into abundance. When she understood this simple but profound truth, she said, "I accept my good." In less than a month, this young woman got married, and as she had imagined, I pronounced the phrase, "I now pronounce you husband and wife." Her husband gave her a $4,000 check as a wedding gift, along with a trip around the world. Her new desire was to beautify her home and garden, and to make the desert of her mind bloom like a rose. She turned water into wine by conditioning her consciousness with her constant desires for happiness. She did this by imagining every night what would happen when she realized her wishes. These visualization exercises, when regular, systematic, and filled with faith, will emerge from the darkness of the subconscious to illuminate your outer world. There is an important rule: do not subject this newly developed film to the devastating light of fear, doubt, discouragement, and worry. Whenever worry or fear knocks at your door, immediately turn to the image you have developed in your mind and say to yourself, "Now a beautiful image is forming in the dark house of my mind." Pour mentally onto this image feelings of joy, faith, and understanding. The following method is a sure and certain way to develop and manifest all the material riches and supplies you need in your life. This formula applies with sincerity and honesty, and you will be richly rewarded externally. I will use the example of a man who came to see me in London because he was in a desperate financial situation. He was a member of the Church of England and had studied the workings of the subconscious mind to some extent. I told him to frequently say during the day, "God is the source of my supply, and all my needs are met at every moment and point in space." I also told him to think about all the animal life that inhabits our world, and all the galaxies in space that are assisted by an infinite intelligence. Observe how nature is lush, extravagant, and abundant. Think about the fish in the sea, and how they are all fed, as well as the birds in the air. This gentleman began to realize that since his birth, he had always been taken care of. From birth, he was fed by his mother and clothed by his father. Until his youth, he was cared for by loving and tender parents. This man had good jobs and was very well paid. It was illogical for him to suppose that the life principle that gave him life and had always taken care of him would suddenly cease to respond to him. Eventually, he realized that he had cut off his own supply by neglecting his job and by criticizing and devaluing himself and his own sense of dignity. He began to psychologically cut the cord that connected him to the infinite source of all things, the residing mind or the principle of life called by some consciousness. A person does not feed like birds. They must consciously commune with the power and inner presence to receive guidance, life force, vitality, and all things necessary for fulfilling their needs. This is the formula that the man used to turn water into wine of abundance and financial success. Eventually, he realized that God, the spiritual power within him, was the cause of everything. Furthermore, he understood that if he could convince himself that wealth was his by divine right, he would manifest abundance and prosperity in his life. The affirmation he used was, "God is the source of my supply. All my financial needs and other needs are met at every moment in time and at every point in space. There is always a divine surplus." This simple statement, repeated frequently, engraved itself into his subconscious and conditioned his mind to a consciousness of prosperity. All he had to do was to sell himself this idea positively, in the same way that a good salesman must sell himself on the merits of his product. This person was convinced of the integrity of his business, the high quality of the product, the good service he would provide to the customer, and that the price was right, etc. I told him that whenever negative thoughts came to mind, which is inevitable, not to struggle against them in any way, but simply to return to the modulated frequency that mentally and spiritually helps him, and to repeat his statement. These negative thoughts may come in avalanches like a torrent of negativity, but he learned to receive them with firm conviction by saying, "God fulfills all my needs. There is a divine surplus within me every day." While he continued his usual daily routine, a series of negative thoughts occasionally filled his mind, thoughts such as, "There is no hope, I am broke." Whenever such negative thoughts attacked him, he rejected them, unable to admit them into his mind, and counterbalanced them with thoughts of wealth, health, and all the things he knew to be for him. And when these bad thoughts attacked with more force, he affirmed, "God is the source of my supply, and this provision is mine now. God will provide wealth. God is my wealth." These positive affirmations filled his mind with hope, faith, and expectancy, for he knew that he too could be supplied by this source of wealth that always flows and satisfies all the needs of those who know it. The negative stream of thoughts came to him dozens of times in an hour, and increasingly he refused to open the door of his mind to these murderous and thieving intruders who would steal his peace, wealth, success, and all good things. Instead, he opened the door of his mind to the idea of God's eternal life principle flowing through him in the form of wealth, health, energy, power, and all things necessary to lead a full and happy life. By continuing thus, the frequency of times the thieves knocked on his door decreased over time, and the stream of negative visitors became less until they rarely manifested, and even when they did, they no longer had the same strength as before, for they already knew the response. No entry. I accept only thoughts and ideas that motivate, heal, bless, and inspire my mind. He conditioned his mind to a consciousness of wealth, removing the power and support of negative thoughts such as fear, lack, worry, and anxiety, until he became immune, for he strengthened his faith in God and in himself. His consciousness already accepted the abundance and supply that God had for him. This man did not lose everything. He did not go bankrupt. He was granted extended credit. His business improved, new doors opened, and he thrived. Remember, when you go to pray, be faithful to your ideal, your purpose, and your goal. Many people never achieve wealth and financial success because they pray in two ways. They affirm that God is their supply and that they prosper divinely. But a few minutes later, they deny their good by saying, "I can't pay this bill, I can't afford this or that." They also say to themselves, "How unlucky I am. I never seem to make ends meet. I never have any extra money." All these statements are extremely destructive and neutralize their positive prayers. This is what is called praying in two ways. You must always be faithful to your plans, goals, and your spiritual power. Stop giving room to negative thoughts. Push them off your path like a captain who, due to weather conditions, calmly returns to his true course. You too are the captain. You are the captain in charge of giving orders concerning your thoughts, feelings, opinions, beliefs, moods, and mental tones. Keep your eye on the north, for you go where your vision is directed. Therefore focus on obstacles or hindrances, and you will stray from your course. Be determined, positive, and resolute. Know that your mental attitude is the ship that will take you from a state of lack and limitation to a state of abundance and opulence. Kimby, who was a physician, student, and teacher of the spiritual laws of the mind, said, "Man acts as he is acted upon." What moves him now? What determines his response to life? The answer is simple. His ideas, beliefs, and opinions activate his mind and condition it to the point where he becomes, as Kimby said, an expression of his beliefs. This illustrates the truth of Kimby's statement. A person is a belief expressed. Another popular statement by Kimby was, "Our minds blend like atmospheres, and each person has their identity in that atmosphere." Since childhood, you have been subjected to the moods, feelings, beliefs, and mental atmosphere of the household. That's why the fears, anxieties, superstitions, as well as the religious faith and convictions of your parents are imprinted in your mind. Let's say a child was raised in a poor place where there was never enough money, and he grew up hearing constant complaints and lamentations about lack and limitation. One could say that the child was conditioned to poverty. It's not surprising that this child develops a poverty complex based on his early experiences and beliefs. Every human being has the power to overcome any situation or obstacle, and this power is invoked through prayer and meditation. I met a 17-year-old who lived in New York. He listened to some lectures I gave at Stubberview Hall, New York. Through what he learned there, this young man realized that he was a victim of negative and destructive thoughts. If he did not redirect his mind through constructive channels, his fears, failures, hatreds, and jealousies would control him. Man acts as he is acted upon. Know that if you do not take care of your own mental house, the false beliefs, fears, and concerns of the world will freely enter it. Why are we immersed in worries of death, misfortune, accidents, failures, illnesses, and disasters? Follow the biblical command. Come out from among them and separate yourselves. He decided to fill his mind with knowledge and spiritual ideas, for he knew that this new way of thinking would eliminate all the negative from his mind. He adopted a simple process called creative imagination. When this young man told me he wanted to be a singer and had a wonderful voice but had not cultivated or developed it, I told him that the image he paid the most attention to in his mind would develop until it became reality. That's how the law of the mind works, a law of action and reaction. Writing comes from the deepest mind, the mental image held in the conscious mind. Once he understood this, Jen would relax healthily in his room, releasing his whole body, and vividly imagine himself singing in front of a microphone. During the imagination exercise, he would visualize the feeling of the instrument, and after singing he would hear me congratulating him on his successes as a singer and his beautiful voice. Paying attention and devotion to a mental image regularly and systematically makes a deep impression on the subconscious mind. It wasn't long before a singing instructor offered him free lessons several times a week because he saw his potential. Thanks to this, the young man secured a contract that sent him abroad to sing in lounges across Europe, Asia, South Africa, and elsewhere. His financial concerns were already a thing of the past. His hidden talents and his ability to unleash them were his true riches. We all have talents and powers within us, and they are given to us by God. Come on, let's show them to the world. Have you ever wondered how to be more helpful to your fellow human beings? How can you contribute more to humanity? A minister friend told me that in his early days, he and his church faced financial difficulties. What did he do to improve his church's situation? He used this simple prayer that worked wonders for him. God reveals better ways for me to share God's truths with my fellow beings. Money came and he was able to sustain his church, and since then, he has never worried about money. Reading this chapter, you will learn that a person's internal feelings, moods, and beliefs always control and govern their external world. As we have mentioned before, the internal movements of the mind control the external movements. To change the outside, you must change the inside. As in heaven, so on earth. As in my mind, so in my body, circumstances, and environment. The Bible says, there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. For example, if you are sick, you reveal a mental and emotional pattern, the cause. If you are upset or receive bad news, observe how you reveal it on your face, in your eyes, gestures, tone of voice, gait, and posture. In fact, your whole body reveals your inner anxiety. However, through mental discipline and prayer, remain absolutely calm, serene, by refusing to betray your hidden feelings or mental states. You could order the muscles of your body to relax, be quiet, and remain still, and they should obey you. Your eyes, face, and lips would betray no indication of pain, anger, or discouragement. On the other hand, with a little discipline through prayer and meditation, you could reverse the whole situation, and no matter what troubling news you receive, whatever its nature, you can display and reflect joy, peace, relaxation, and a vibrant and optimistic nature. I recommend doing an exercise every day, no matter your mood. In the morning, stand in front of the mirror, look at your face, lips, and gestures, and as you watch yourself closely, think that you will soon receive great news that will dramatically change your life. Let meditation and visualization fill your mind with concepts of peace, success, wealth, and happiness. Identify with these mental, emotional, and pictorial ideas. Visualize them until a new reality is manifested. If you want to be rich, you must marry wealth. Mentally unite with this image until you become one with it. In other words, you are what you think. If you believe the world is cold, cruel, and harsh, and there is nothing good for you, you will be right because that is your concept of yourself to which you are married, and you will have children from this marriage. The children of such a mental belief will be your experiences, conditions, and circumstances, along with all other events of your life. Watch how so many people coexist with fear, doubt, anxiety, criticism, jealousy, and anger. These states only ravage the mind that hosts them. Protect the entrance of your mind against these malevolent feelings. Claim, feel, and believe in the wealth that belongs to you, and say again and again until your mind is conditioned for it, God is my provider, I shall not want. Don't say it like a parrot. Feel that this phrase makes sense to you. Say it with joy, love, and feeling. One of my students opened a restaurant. He called me and said he married a restaurant, and that meant he had decided to be successful, diligent, and persevering so that his business would thrive. This man's wife was his belief in the fulfillment of his desire. Identify with the goal of your life and rid yourself of self-criticism, condemnation, anger, fear, and worry. Pay attention to your ideal and fill it with faith and confidence in the inevitable law of prosperity and success. You will achieve nothing by loving your ideal for a minute and denying it the next minute. It's like mixing acid and alkali because you will have only an inert substance. To travel the path of wealth, you must be faithful to your chosen ideal. We can find countless illustrations in the Bible related to these truths. One of the verses of the Bible says, "And the government shall be upon his shoulder." In other words, let divine wisdom be your guide. Let divine wisdom within you guide and govern you in all your ways. Appeal to this inner presence, knowing in your heart and soul that it will dispel anxiety, heal wounds, and restore your soul to equanimity and tranquility. Open your mind and heart and say, God is my pilot. He guides, prospers, and counsels me. Let your prayer day and night be, I am a channel through which the riches of God flow incessantly and freely. Inscribe this prayer in your heart, engrave it. The man who does not know the inner workings of his own mind will always be burdened with burdens, anxieties, and concerns because he does not know how to free himself. A disciple asked a monk, Master, what is truth? He symbolically answered by taking the sack off his back and placing it on the ground. Then the disciple asked, Master, what does this mean? The monk, still in silence, put the sack back on his back and continued on his way, singing to himself. The sack represents your burden or problem, for so you choose it. Know that the subconscious or subjective being within you will accept your request and deal with it in its own way. All you have to do is release your request with faith and confidence, just as you would throw a seed into the ground or send a letter to a friend, knowing that the response will come. Have you ever stood between two large rocks and listened to the echo of your voice? That's how the principle of life within you responds. Listen to the echo of your own voice, your voice being the internal mental movement of your mind, your psychological journey, where you mentally persuade yourself of an idea until it deeply permeates your subconscious. Knowing this law and how to use it, make sure never to be intoxicated by power, arrogance, or pride. Use your power to bless, heal, inspire, and uplift others, just as you would yourself. Man abuses this law by selfishly taking advantage of his neighbor, but whoever does so brings loss upon himself. Power, security, and wealth cannot be possessed externally. They come from the treasure house of inner eternity. Regardless of your current circumstances, have faith that your good is always present, and you can mentally detach from any problem. Imagine that good is on its way. Insist on this line of thought and remain filled with faith at every step of the way, knowing that the joy of answered prayer is on its way. You can travel psychologically within your mind and, through divine imagination, attract any desired state. Wealth, health, or invention you wish to introduce are invisible at first, but everything comes from the invisible. You must possess wealth subjectively mentally before you can possess it objectively physically, for the feeling of wealth produces wealth, and wealth is a state of consciousness. A state of consciousness is what one thinks, feels, believes, and is mentally aware of. A teacher in California who earned a meager salary saw a beautiful coat worth $8,000 through a store window. She thought, it would take me many years to save that amount of money. I could never afford it, but I want it. It wasn't until she listened to our Sunday morning lectures that she understood she had to detach from these negative concepts. Eventually, she understood that she could have a coat, a car, or anything else she desired. I told her to imagine herself wearing the coat, feeling its soft texture on her. She began using the power of her imagination before going to sleep at night. In her visualization exercise, she imagined herself putting on the coat, touching it and caressing it as one would with a doll. She continued to do so until she felt the reality and emotion of her imagination. She fell asleep every night imagining wearing the coat and fell asleep very happily possessing it. Months passed and nothing happened. When she was about to give up more insistently, she visualized herself even more intensely in possession of what she desired so much. As the verse says, "He who perseveres to the end will be saved." The solution will come to the person who does not waver, who always walks with the fragrance of his presence. The answer comes to the one who walks in the light and says, "It is already done." Whenever he remains happy and expectant, knowing that his good is on its way, the invisible will soon become visible. One Sunday morning after our lecture, a man accidentally stepped on the woman's foot. He profusely apologized, asked her where she lived, and offered to drive her home. She joyfully accepted. A few months later, he proposed to her, gave her a beautiful diamond ring, and said, "That wonderful coat would make you shine." It was the coat she had admired months before. The salesman said that over 100 wealthy women had looked at the coat, admired it greatly, but for some reason they always chose another outfit. Through her ability to choose, imagine the reality you want for yourself, and through faith and perseverance, you will be able to obtain what you desire most in life. All the riches of heaven are here now within you, waiting to be released. Peace, joy, love, inspiration, goodwill, and abundance exist now. All you need to express the riches of God is to leave the present now. Leave behind limitations, enter into mental vision and a happy, joyful state of mind, and become one with your ideal. After visualizing and feeling the reality of what you want, know that objectively, you will soon see your ideal as you walk through time and space. As the Bible says, as within, so without, as above, so below, as in heaven, so on earth. In other words, you will see your beliefs expressed, for we are our expressed beliefs. Imagine that good is on its way. Insist on this line of thought and remain filled with faith at every step of the way, knowing that the joy of answered prayer is on its way.